Hey Narwhals, and welcome back to some more weight loss stories. Only a small percentage of our viewers actually subscribe. It's free and you can always change your mind later, so please tap subscribe to join the original 100k Narwhals. The Secret Lives of Slim People, an interesting study in Seco. I've just been watching the first episode of a Channel 4 show called Secret Lives of Slim People. It's basically the opposite of Secret Eaters. It looks at two people who are very slim and claim to eat loads and not exercise, and investigates why they're still slim. The basic summary of this episode was one lady ate a pretty standard but hearty diet: toast for breakfast, sandwich, crisps, and fruit for lunch, family dinner and pudding, plus chocolate for snacks, that they added up to be around 2,200 calories, which she burnt through her daily activities by fidgeting a lot and being constantly on the go with 3 young boys. The other woman ate literally nothing but junk, but only ate a few bites and then threw it away. At the end, they added up what she had eaten to an average about 1,800 calories a day. I have to admit, the wastefulness made me wince. I thought it was a really good example of calories in, calories out in action. Everyone has anecdotal stories about their friend who can eat anything and stay slim, but actually, when you look closer, they're eating an amount of calories that makes sense for their activity levels and their weight. There's no mystical super fast metabolism. The main difference that I can see is that naturally slim people seem to be able to do this instinctively, but the rest of us have to work at it. Near the beginning of my journey, I started paying a bit more attention to what and how my slimmer friends were eating. I noticed that one of them rarely finished his food from dinner out. He would take half of it home and find a willing partner to split his main dish and also share a salad. Another one would have a full dinner portion, but after I stayed with him once, I realized that breakfast was a black coffee and a piece of fruit, and lunch was typically a working glass full of garbanzo bean salad full of peppers and onions and seasoned only with lemon juice and spices, no oil, probably 200 calories at the most. So no wonder he could eat a huge dinner, and did. He was having less than 400 calories in the whole day before dinner. I work as a fitness coach. I'm especially good at getting people who eat a ton but don't gain weight to grow muscle. The most common scenario is that they work super hard and then eat like wings and pizza and soda, like 3,000 calories in one sitting, but then it overloads their digestion and they undereat for 2 to 3 days following, and rinse and repeat. A lot of them also eat really big meals, but like once a day, so like 1,500 calories in a sitting, but 2,000 total for the day. I recognize this. I seem to eat about the same as my overweight friend when we meet up. I definitely eat snacks and sweets and don't always have a great diet, though I have pretty healthy habits left over from childhood, like no snacking before dinner, but so does she. However, I'm a fidgeter. I have a dog and I tend to run up and down the house and the garden regularly, commute by bike as much as possible, etc. It's not that my friend isn't active or doesn't exercise, it's just less than I tend to do, which results in different body types. And people always ignore the extra things and how they add up over time. I don't drive, so I go everywhere by bike or walking. Over time, this adds up significantly over a lot of other people, particularly combined with dropping the kids off at school and generally making sure I'm on my feet as much as possible. Active lifestyles make such a difference. I love it. This is much more eye-opening to the average person than secret eaters, in my opinion. Everybody can know, okay, obviously this obese person doesn't eat 1,000 calories a day like they claim. But for some reason, there is more doubt when a thin person claims to eat a ton, at least for me. But my friend I thought was naturally skinny has the palate of a 6-year-old. She'll only eat chicken tenders, grilled cheese, and burgers, and she'll eat the whole thing too. Then one day, I hung out with her for more than just a dinner, and for lunch, she couldn't finish a few sections of her orange. A friggin' orange filled you up? Not even a whole orange? I'm jealous, but whatevs, lol. Yep, this was me, but the reverse. I'm petite and couldn't understand how my friend struggled so much with obesity when we ate the same when we went to lunch and dinner together. Then we hung out all day, and I realized the Starbucks stop in the morning, the Wendy's stop between meals, the mall pretzel and icy while shopping, etc. all added up. I don't eat at all between meals, and I only eat 2 meals a day. Big difference. Oh wow, this reminds me of my weight loss journey. I've lost a cumulative of 220 pounds so far, several attempts. I've tried keto, major focus on working out, water diets, juice diets, veganism, pescatarian diet, and they all didn't work for me as much as pure Seco. The thing is, I have so much experience with Seco that I instinctively eat lesser calories now, because I can, in the back of my head, count how much I'm eating and then regulate calories in the next meal or the next day. My younger sisters are like this. They claim to eat so much food but can't gain weight. They're actually underweight. My parents think it's fine because they always see them grab food or load up their plates, but they almost always take 2 or 3 bites of each item and throw the rest away. One will always save the rest of her plate and put it in the fridge, but it always ends up just sitting there until someone throws it out. They eat tons of junk food, anything they want to eat, really, but they never finish the amount of food that they actually get. Bag of chips, 3 or 4 bites, and then it's back on top of the fridge. A barbecue plate, 1 or 2 bites of the chicken, and then into the trash it goes. They say they don't like to feel full. I had a roommate like this, and the constant food waste bothered me, but she was also very slim, and I honestly wish I was more like her. It's hard for me to not finish my plate. Adding onto this, I grew up with the whole hungry kids in Africa and India mental training, and tossing food has been the hardest thing for me to do. It is so easy to just finish those last couple of bites than to toss them. I can't explain. I'm not bad if I section off a chunk to save for later, but most of the time I get past the halfway point and just keep going. And trying out the mantra, it's going to waste either way, my waste or the waste bin, has helped. Recognizing it has helped, but I doubt I will ever be naturally inclined to just eat the calories that will make my weight loss easy. I might eventually get to naturally eating what keeps me at my maintenance, and that is encouraging. I think it's the instinctively part that is super frustrating for a lot of people. It's a lot more difficult when you're actively having to fight your brain with your food and activity decisions. Seco may be simple, but when it doesn't come naturally, it's also exhausting at first for a lot of people. I've gotten my habits down to where a lot of it has become more unconscious than it used to be, and my body has adjusted, and it is so much easier now. I wish I could go back and tell my former self that it won't be like that forever. I needed a hug and some compassion, and not to be told that I was making excuses. Then I just felt defective or like a total failure. Yeah, I had a really eye-opening moment when I realized that every thin person I know works pretty hard at it. You see them have a pizza and beer, but not the 45-minute workout earlier in the day, or the salad for lunch because they knew they were eating out later and calorie adjusted. And not only that, but there's even more bias because in a social setting is where you're more likely to be with thin people that you don't know very well, such as coworkers. And in this social setting, there is more probability of beer, pizza, potluck at work, company-sponsored lunch, etc. It gives the illusion that they eat with abandon but don't gain a pound, when in reality they don't typically consume dense foods. It's just that every time you happen to gather with them, dense foods are served and everyone partakes. I hate it when people assume that skinny people are just naturally skinny. It's clear that this isn't the case. One friend I knew didn't have the healthiest diet, didn't exercise, but she used to skip meals. She only ate breakfast and lunch. She wasn't much of a snacker, and she was able to maintain her weight because of that. The other friend I had would eat more, but she was always on the go. She was pretty active during the day, working at a kindergarten, and she used to go to the gym and work out after, so that kept her in shape. They were both prone to weight gain if they stopped exercising or overate. I think in the end, it all comes down to the quantity of food that you're eating and whether or not your body needs it. This myth that skinny people eat whatever they want and don't gain weight is just untrue. It's also because people's definition of eating loads is subjective. 2,200 calories a day is loads for some, and they cannot fathom that you can eat 4,000 calories in a single sitting. I've met people that had that exact type of thinking. But yeah, it's usually a combination of lifestyle, activity levels, and caloric absorption rates, intestinal transit times also, that keeps them slim. I have acquaintances that were that slim type until they had to get a job, sit around on their butt in the office all day, kids, no time to exercise, and 20 years later, they're telling me they don't know how they got overweight. Well, the same way everybody does. I had a childhood friend that was really skinny, though she ate a lot. But it turns out she ate more full meals and snacked, but not as big of a snacker as I was, with my hot Cheetos, candy, chips, etc. And she was much more active than I was. Around the time before my wedding, I had a summer job at the state fair. I was eating the fatty, deep-fried fair food every day, and of course my hot Cheetos and alcohol. But I was able to lose 5 pounds because I would walk around the fairgrounds a lot or drive the golf cart, and it was so hot. I walked around a ton to be with the fair mascot because the person under the mascot costume couldn't see very well. And this was when Pokemon Go came out, so I walked around a lot in my neighborhood or around the downtown areas with my husband. I lost more weight just doing those things, even with my normal eating. Now, I've been working at a desk job for 3.5 years, and it's kinda hard to replicate what I did in the past, especially as a college student who had to walk around everywhere. I have a Fitbit my mom got me for my birthday, so I try to take as many steps as I can and walk around a decent amount during my lunch break. And that brings us to the end, Narwhals. And please tap subscribe to join the original 100K Narwhals. And lastly, here's our featured Narwhal of the Day. Is 73 pounds down, still a long way to go, 2017 versus 2021.